Hi, I'm Stephen Fag with Database Trends and Applications and Unisphere Research, and I'm excited to introduce this new video interview on the evolving role of the DBA between Joe McKendrick, lead analyst at Unisphere, and Karen Spencer, senior product marketing manager at Quest Software. As IT and business leaders strive to transform their organizations into data-driven enterprises, market forces and technology trends are reshaping the role of the DBA, from fighting fires to navigating a new world of cloud and automation. DBTA, in partnership with Quest Software, recently fielded a survey of more than 200 data management professionals to ask them what changes they're seeing in their roles and what is needed to move businesses forward in this new era. You can check out the study on dbta.com at the top of our research library. In the meantime, I'd like to pass things over to Karen and Joe to dive into this topic further. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Stephen. This is a really important topic for Quest Software, and I'm really excited to be here today and chat with Joe about the trends reshaping the DBA role, what is needed to achieve success in today's environment. So Joe, as the lead analyst at DBTA and the author of the study that Stephen mentioned, I know you have your thumb on the pulse of a lot of things happening in this market. So my first question for you today is, what is exactly a database administrator these days?
Hi, Karen. It's great to be here with you. And yeah, that's a great question. What is a database DBA? What is a database administrator these days? There's changes occurring at two levels. First of all, there's no doubt there's been a lot of change. The DBA, the role of the DBA is a lot different than it was even 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. And again, it's occurring at two levels. On the one level, you have the DBA, the person with the title DBA, whose role is being elevated. There's more of the more rote database functions moving to the cloud or being automated, or a lot of the database vendors, talk about self-driving database, autonomous databases. So a lot of those rote day-to-day functions are going away. They're not really needed. So the DBA is still essential, right? That doesn't mean DBA jobs are going away. They're still essential to the role of the organization because everybody wants to be data-driven these days. That's the key. The key to success all across the world is being data-driven, understanding who your customers are, where your markets are, what your employers are doing, keeping that all in sync, having the data to bring forth and put into analytic systems, artificial intelligence, machine learning, what have you. And you need people who understand what's going on in the data side of the organization. And these would be the DBA. So their role is being elevated to that of a more of a business-centric role. On the other level, you have what at one time were called accidental DBAs. I would call them it's more of virtual or proxy DBAs these days. That is developers, business users, kind of getting into the flow of DevOps, data ops, where you have more of an automated flow of applications and data through the organization, through the pipelines. Essentially, these business users, developers, working with this data, working with this information, are essentially become DBAs in their own right. Even though it's virtual, and they're not worrying about too much because a lot of it's being automated. But still, they're kind of overseeing their part of the data world. So we're seeing these two levels, and again, we're not talking about DBA roles going away at it, by any chance. It's not happening. There's just more automation. We're talking about more users empowered to leverage and build their own data-driven applications, developers as well. So maybe it's time to broaden the definition of DBA, and simply refer to them as data managers and data professionals. It's a lot more than simply administration. It's about being advocates and enablers of this new data-driven business that everyone's talking about and everybody's working toward.
Yeah, thanks. And how would you say that their roles differ then from data engineers or data analysts, or do they kind of overlap?
You're right, Karen. There is a lot of overlap. Generally, data engineers considered to be the next rung up the ladder from DBA. The next career rung. And there are differences. DBAs worry about the platforms. The particular brands of databases. Be they an Oracle DBA or SQL Server DBA, what have you. The queries, the activity going on in those databases. The data engineers focus more on the structure of the data itself. They're worried about the data going into those databases. In many ways, maybe not so in the Fortune or Forbes 500 organizations, but in most small, medium to large, medium organizations, those roles are overlapping. They're both working to ensure that the viability and the availability of data is good. I mean, that it's available to the business, that it's ready for the business, ready for this data-driven business everybody wants to move toward. And in particular, they have to work behind the data scientists. The data scientists are being paid a lot of money. The skill is rare. A lot of them need, come in with PhDs even. They're expensive. And the DBAs, or rather data scientists, should not be fussing around with data security, cleaning data, all that good stuff. They need to be worrying about asking the right questions and applying the statistics to the business. The database administrators, the data engineers should be working together behind the scenes, if you will, working with the data scientists in a team-like fashion to ensure that the data scientists are doing what they're supposed to be doing and they're not worrying about the viability of the data.
In your most recent survey, you covered the emerging roles of database management professionals. What do they need to focus on in today's environment?
Well, Karen, actually, we just completed a survey with our friends at Quest Software, and we covered a lot of ground in terms of the roles of DBAs, roles of data managers, what's going on in the field. And this isn't necessarily news to those working in data professions, but we found that a majority, 74%, say that their workload has increased significantly over the past 3 years. Again, no surprise, and we're seeing the ratios changing dramatically as well. At one time, probably a couple decades ago, the ratio database administrator to the database was probably 1-to-1 or 1-to-2, or maybe even the busy ones are 1-to-5. Now it's 1-to-100. There's a lot of stuff going on. Again, data-driven organization, lots of different platforms, different types of databases, all going in to power these organizations forward. And the DBA, the data manager, needs to oversee a lot of changes, a lot of diversity within their organization. So we wanted to find out, which tasks are being emphasized, which tasks are not being emphasized. How is the role changing exactly? And we found that, data management professionals are spending more time on data security, one, that's number one. Number two, data analytics. Number three, data quality. And four, consulting directly with the business. So you see the changes there from those typical DBA roles, the rote management, day-to-day management of data, to working closely with the business. And, you may think data security, okay, that's something that's not new to the role of the data professional. That's been there for decades. But the odds. I mean, what's happening now is, you see it all around us. The ransomware, the incidents, security incidents, hacking, the liability organizations face for data. I mean, that raises the profile of the data professional even further, and they need to understand, and they need to be able to tell their business what to do, how to handle data security. That's very important, and everybody's worried about that now. So we're seeing this great change, this great evolution going on with what database administrators need to know, need to understand, and need to work more closely with the business about.
Are data professionals feeling the same stress as other occupations in this post-COVID world? Have they been a part of that great resignation?
Absolutely. We found that in our survey as well. A good chunk of our administrators, the professionals we spoke with, are feeling frustrated. They're feeling the same frustrations that everybody else is. They're not immune from the pressures of the organization. Again, everybody wants to be more data driven. So everybody's turning to their data professionals, their data management departments, and saying, come on, make us data driven. The CEO reads an article in a publication, maybe the CEO picks up a copy of Database Trends and Applications, who knows, but they they see this article about how everybody's becoming data driven and how that's the key to the future. So they go to their IT departments, their data managers, and say, come on, make us data driven. What's the holdup here? So there's a lot of pressure. They're not necessarily getting more budget. The budgets have increased a bit, we found in our survey with Quest, but not enough to overcome the pressure to do a lot more with a lot less. Database professionals need to work smarter. That's applicable to everybody, and I'm sure you heard that phrase a lot. Smarter, not harder. But as a result, they're in there as well with the great resignation, the frustrations that everybody feels across the board. And that's why organizations need to recognize the importance of their data professionals and to provide career opportunities and to provide ways to make their jobs better and to enable them to work with the technology and have more choice over the technology they're working with.
What about automation? Is it helping data professionals do their jobs better? And then what about cloud?
Absolutely. We're seeing more and more automation becoming part of the database professional's job. There's initiatives going on within organizations. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things. You talk about lots of data, lots of processes to worry about. The need to ensure continuous operations. It's no longer 9 to 5. It's 24/7 by 365 or 366, depending on the year. It's impossible. It's ludicrous, if you will, to try to manage all these processes manually. I mean, it can't be done. You need machines. You need to hand over a lot of the work to machines. We're finding that automation is on its way. It's not quite there yet. We found that about 43% of the group we surveyed with the Quest survey have made progress with data automation. So that suggests that there's 57% that are still working on it. In fact, 55% say progress has been too slow and non-existent with automation. And a majority, 58%, have not fully automated the monitoring of the database performance. That's one key area. We see the area that is most likely to see a great degree of automation is backup and recovery. So that's part of it. Backup and recovery is part of it, but we have a long way to go. We have the ops culture. I talked about data ops and DevOps a little bit early on. Interest is high. We find a lot of people are implementing these methodologies, especially DevOps. Data ops is also on the way. There's the ongoing movement to the cloud. We found that 57% of our respondents say they're moving more of their workloads to the cloud. They're moving more of their functionality to the cloud. And half of them, 50% report that this has sped up over the past 3 years. So we're seeing these, and they're intertwined. We're seeing this automation, this greater movement to the cloud, this use of methodologies such as data ops and DevOps, of course, that employ cloud methodologies or cloud services and employ automation to make things work, to move data through the pipelines. So things are moving, not quite there yet, but they're moving in that direction.
Thanks, Joe. So my last question for you today is, what can data managers and professionals do to get on track and succeed in today's economy?
Well, for starters, keep your skills refreshed. Keep expanding your skill base to include aspects of business management. Again, as I said, data professionals are expected to work close to the business. The business wants to be data-driven. The CEO, the CFO, CIO, what have you, they're saying to their data departments, their IT departments, make us data-driven, quick, So it's good to have a business sense, to understand where your resources need to be applied to best work with the business. And of course, work closely with the business, understand what the business needs. There's the agile methodologies, which encourage working one-on-one with business folks. Check out, continuous education, and you don't have to go back to university to expand your skills. There's a lot of low-cost, no-cost offerings online through leading universities offer massive open online courses that deal with these topics. Online providers on YouTube or what have you, such as the Khan Academy, also provide a lot of skills refreshes, a lot of ways to keep your skills up to date. So you can keep your skills up to date, and as long as you have the time. That's the issue, of course, with any data professionals, finding the time to do that stuff. But keep your skills up to date. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. We don't have to go back to college. It's just key to keep refreshed. And this is really important. I used to be an association executive, so I understand the importance, the role that associations can play in continuous learning, higher continuous education. Check out your local chapters of professional user groups, independent Oracle user group, for example, IUG, or the Professional Association SQL Server user group PASS. They have a national organization as well, and they have conferences. And that's really a great way to stay on top of your field. You know, you're meeting with people, you're exchanging information with people, you're learning from people, you know, what's going on in your field, what's going on with databases and data management. I can't say enough for getting involved with associations or user groups to really understand, to get a good sense of where things are heading. So stay nimble. Use the phrase that always gets applied to business people as in general. Stay nimble, but stay open-minded. Be ready to learn new things. Stay on top of changes. Make change your friend.
Great, thank you. Those are great tips. And I just wanted to thank everyone for watching. The DBTA survey was sponsored by Quest Foglight. And if you have any interest in learning more about our database performance monitoring solution, you can go to quest.com/foglight.